This movie follows on from the previous movie, so it's a good idea to watch that one. So I'm going to just check to make sure that I've got things the way that I want. For example, I'm using none as my active class. I've also set my attributes to be a solid fill, white, with a thin black line. That'll make it easy for me. I'm going to use my keyboard shortcuts, my numeric keypad, to quickly jump to that perspective view. Window on the menu bar, data bar options. Just check to make sure you've got allow numeric keypad entry here. So let's get started with a rectangle. Rectangle tool, click to start. I want this rectangle to be about 5 meters in that direction and 10 meters in that direction. Enter once, enter again, and there's my object. So now I'm going to click to start again. Just be careful that you don't get that red highlight. Just move away from your rectangle a little bit. This needs to be 4 meters in that direction and minus 4 meters in that direction. And now I've got my two objects. Select them both, right click and add surface. We can use the push-pull tool quite a lot for this. So I'm going back to my push-pull tool, first mode, click, let's bring that up, and I need to bring that up by 4.5 meters, 4500. Enter once, enter again, and that's the start of my house. Now I haven't saved my file yet. I'm actually not going to. I recommend you save it. So now we need to create a roof. I'm going to use a polygon for this. Now remember in the last movie we looked at these blue planes. These are the automatic working planes. So I can click there to start, touch that midpoint. I want to be at 30 degrees. Touch that corner there and click back there. Now I can click on that and I can pull that along, touch the edge of my building, and that creates my first roof form. So we want to highlight that in blue, click, touch the midpoint, 30 degrees, come down, click, back to where we started, grab that, and we're going to come right across to that point there, and you can see I've got these two roof forms that overlap. Select them both, right click, add solids. In fact, we're going to add everything together so that it's all one big generic object. I'm going to hollow out my building, so I'm just going to hold down the control key, middle mouse wheel button, let's rotate that round. I want to cut out my building, so I have a tool to do this. We're going to start by extracting the surface. Now the extract surface will extract planar objects. So I can extract that face, or that bottom, click, and then my enter key. So that creates a polygon. I want to offset that polygon. This is the thickness of my wall, about 6 inches. Let's inset that, and then I'm going to use my push-pull tool. Now we looked at this in the last movie, the subface mode, so I select that, select my model, click, pull that up, and I'm going to touch the edge of that corner there, and it just subtracts the inside of my building away. So now I have an inside with a flat roof. So what I'd like to do now is to extrude an edge around my building. So I'm going to use my polygon tool to trace that over, or I could use something like the couple of rectangles and join them together. But I'm going to use my polygon. So let's use a polygon tool. So you notice I'm just highlighting the blue bottom of my building. So click there, 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 and I'm just going around the edge of my building. Now if I have trouble with that, another thing I could use is my extract tool. This time use it in the edge mode. So I can click on that edge, and I'm holding the shift key down as I go around this, making sure I'm getting the edges that I want. You notice there it's trying to get the inside edge. We might have to hit the Z key to zoom in. I want the outside edge there. Z key again, hold down the shift key. So I've got all of my edges, click on the green tick or hit the enter key, and I've got a group. Let's modify and edit group. So those are my lines, 6 lines. Modify and compose. So it now creates a polygon. I'm I'm going to go back to a top plan view. So that's my shape. I need a rectangle, and this rectangle needs to be just a small rectangle. We're going to make it about 8 inches wide, 200 millimeters, and about 2 feet high, 600 millimeters. I can take that object, select that one as well, model, and extrude along path. So what will happen, it'll take this object here and it'll pull it along my path, but it'll use the center of my object. I'm going to have to modify that. So let's extrude along a path. Let's go next, and there it is. If I double click, I can look at my profile, and there you can see I've got it going through the middle. So I'm going to grab that corner, bring it up to there. When I exit my profile, it should be in the right place. Exit my group, and you can see that is now touching the edge of my building. So if I just fly around it, and I'm going to just check my flyover tool, I want to use it in that mode, and let's have a look. So there's my edge there, and it's going around. Now this extrude along a path is a great little tool. It's inside a group at the moment, so I'm going to modify and ungroup it. Now the thing I like about the extrude along a path is that I can edit the profile. So if I edit the profile and I change something to a corner maybe, so let's put a fillet radius on there, it's updated, and so I've now got this curve going around my building. We need a door, so I'm going to change my view a little bit. I'd like to have a door. I'm going to start there. Notice the blue color, that's the automatic working plane. My door wants to be 900 millimeters, it's about 3 feet, and it needs to be about 6'6" high, 2,000 millimeters. Now I can click on that and pull it straight away. If I put my finger on the Alt or the Option key as I pull that, it will automatically punch a hole, which is pretty cool. Now I'm going to make a window. So rectangle tool still, so just over here, I'm going to create a window. That window lines up with my door, so again I'm going to pull that through, Option key, and click, and it punches a hole. So that's a great way to do this hole punching technique. I'm going to put some steps in just here, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that face there. I'm going to come down, click, and pull that out, and that's going to create some steps for me. That's my first one, and now I want another one there. And I'm going to make a copy of that. So I'm going to use my Move by Points tool. I'm going to make a copy, 2 copies, and we're going to keep the original, and we're going to copy it from there to there. And that should have made us some copies. Now they don't all line up, you'll notice, so I'm going to fix that. Back to my push-pull tool, using the extrude face mode. So click there, pull that down, and I can touch that step. Click on that one, pull it down, touch that step. Click on that one, pull it down, touch that step. And then I can just add all of these together. If I want to make changes to them before I add them, now's the time to do it. So if we want to, we can go back to our push-pull tool. That face can come in, that face can come in, or it can go out further, and you can make a series of random steps if you like. Once you've got those, I'm going to select them all, right click, and add them all together. So far it's coming along nicely. I'm going to use my rectangle tool from that corner down to there. I'm going to offset that, and I'm going to offset that by about 8 inches, 200 millimeters. Now that I've just changed this mode here, this mode will give me another copy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look for the other object. I'm going to look for this object here. I found it. I'm going to send that to the front. So modify, send, send to front. I've got these 2 objects. Select them both, clip surface, and that object I'm going to extrude. I'm going to use my push-pull tool again, click on that face. I'm going to pull it out a little bit, about 2 inches, 50 millimeters. This one I'm going to extrude the other way. It's going backwards, so it's minus 10 millimeters. And what I might want to do is to move it into the building a little bit. So I'm going to go back to my Move by Points tool. We've got one duplicate, and I want to move it from there to there. So I've now moved it back, and I'm going to go to my Render tab here. So this is rendering. This is where I can apply texture. I'm going to apply a texture to that object, and I want to create or apply a glass texture. So let's look up glass, and there's a glass frosted. We'll use that. Now you may not see the frosted glass at the moment because inside is all the same kind of color. So we've got our building starting, so you can carry on and create more windows. You can create that there. But what I'd like to do is add a light. Visualization tab, we're going to put in a light, and I'm going to put in a directional light. Click once, OK, and there's my light. And you can see straight away just adding a light makes a big difference. And when I go back to a top plan view, we should see my light source. Here it is here, and this first blue handle changes the azimuth, and this one changes the elevation. So azimuth is the relationship to north, and the elevation is how high it is in the sky. So let's go back to a 3D view. And we should notice as we turn the view round that we get some light and some shade. So there it is, you can see the back of the building shady. And that should help us with our design. Now I'd like to play with the roof. So I'd quite like to make the roof different from what it is. I'd like to pull some parts out, and I'd like to have a little play with it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a technique. Let's have a look here. We're going to use a line tool. So we could go the line from there to there, and from there down to there. And just notice I'm using this blue plane. I'm going to use my offset tool again, back to the offset original. So we're going to offset that line. We're going to use the Alt or Command key to offset that other one. I've got those two. I really want that line to project down there, and this line project down here. I need those to project beyond the building. Select both of those, modify, join, and join. And now I'm going to compose those together to a single object. The reason I've done that is I want to use my 3D modeling push-pull tool again. I want to use the subface mode. So click on that, click on my model, grab that face, and now I can pull that out by about 2 feet, 600 millimeters. And so it pulls that part of the building out. Now there are lots of ways to do this. If I wanted to perhaps have an extended roof out here, there's another way to do that. So I'm going to show you that way as well. Let's just turn our view. I need to see the entire building. And we're going to use the extract again. This is the extract. We're going to extract the surface. Only this time we don't want a planar object. We want that. Hold down the Shift key, that, and that. So I've held the Shift key down to do those. I then hit the Enter key. It creates a group. Let's modify and ungroup it. 4 NURB surfaces. So I'm going to model and add solids, and it's now one solid addition. Now in order to give it some thickness, I'm going to use my Shell Solid tool, 6 inches thick, and click, hold down the Shift key, click, hold down the Shift key, click, Enter. Now you may not notice the thickness of that roof. Let's just turn the view so you can see it. But if I go turn off the inside, now you can see the thickness of my roof. And maybe this is more what you were looking for when we want to use the push-pull tool and we want to extrude that face and bring it out. Extrude this face and bring it out to there. Grab that face and you notice both of those come out, and we can also type in the distance that we want. As our projects get more complex, it's a good idea to filter what you're looking at. Just here we have our quick preferences. One of the quick preferences I have turned on is this one called Show Clip Cube. It's this one that looks like a teapot. When I click on it, it puts a cube around objects that I've selected. Now, I haven't selected anything, so it's got a cube around everything. I'm using the selection tool. When I move near the edge, I click and I can choose to move parts of that around. So I can move that face in. I can highlight the top. I can bring the top down. And it allows me to look into my building much more easily. So if I wanted to work on this end of the building, what I might do is to click on that. Let's lift that up so I can see the entire building. But I just need to zoom out a little bit so that I can start to grab bits. So for example, I want to grab this end wall, or this end part. It's difficult to see, but there it is there. Let's bring that into about there. I can click on that one and bring that one in. And that allows me to work just in this area. So if I click on this Fit to Objects, you can see I can now turn my view around and I'm just seeing this part of my building. Very handy, this Show Clip Cube. I'm going to turn that off and I want to see everything again. So I need to create drawings. Let's look at some quick ways to create drawings. View on the menu bar, create multiple viewports. We want to have third angle projection, front, top, right, left, and let's go. Okay, and it's created elevations for me. There it is there. And all I need to do is update those, and I now have the elevations of my building. Let's update. There they are there. Very quick way to create your elevations. There's my third angle projection, the plan projected down there, and the side view projected there. So if we don't need that, we can get rid of it. Let's just move those two across, and we'll move that one up. So there are my drawings. I put a title block on there, and I have a title block object. So here's my title block object here. Bring that in, double click, and it says I haven't got a styled title block or title block border yet, so I'm just going to choose one of those and OK, and it puts my title block border on. So I just need to move those so they're inside the border. So I'll move them up to start with, and I'll move this one down. And so that's everything inside the border. There's my border there. If I go to my settings, I can make changes to this by choosing the sheet border, the title block, the sheet data. This is the sheet data here, where I can type in these are drawings. And when I go OK, drawings will turn up there.